Hey everyone. Okay, let's go ahead and walk through these story-based lesson forms. Sorry, I have a cold, so my voice is not awesome, but bear with me. Um, this is an example um, planning form that is in Blackboard that you should be able to access now. So we're going to go ahead and go through this. As you can see, the student descriptions are at the top. So you're going to place those, literally just copy and paste what you have in your student descriptions after I've given you feedback, copy and paste them in here. This person does not have as much detail as you all have been submitting. I like yours better. Keep doing what you're doing. This one is not super detailed, but that's okay because her lesson is really great. Okay, so this you're basically just filling in things about the book that are things that you want to highlight and that you need to teach. So we have our title here, accessibility. Here you're going to explain all of the adaptations that you are going to make to the book. Okay, so one thing you can do, and I'm about to post the video of me going through these adapted books that we did not get to yesterday. So you can see some examples um, with in that video. Undergrads, you will be able to go through them physically. I'm going to hand them over to Miss Elliott. And so you guys are going to get your hands on these. Grads, a video is just the best I can do virtually, unfortunately. So anyway, we're going to go through that. And all of the adaptations that you make, you're going to need to put in this section here, okay? And it's also an option to print off if you're using Paul Sherlock, for example, or you're using another online version of an adapted story. You can print those off and laminate them and kind of create a little book. That's totally fine. Some people put them in binders. You're going to describe all of that in here, okay? Next is our reading standards. So this person has students, it looks like in third and fourth grade. So each grade level that you have in your lesson, you need a standard that aligns to that, okay? Oh, I'm sorry, she has kindergarten, second, and fourth. So it's a little bit, it looks like she stretched with this kindergarten a little bit, right? So you can do that, but I really, if possible, I really would like to see, like she has here at the bottom, this fourth grader has a aligned standard, okay, because it's 4.3. So I know that's a fourth grade standard. This second grader, it's fine that she's using a third grade standard, but really try and stay away with what she did up here. It's kind of a stretch. Actually, it's a big stretch for a kindergartner to be hitting a third grade standard. So keep that in mind, although there is a little flexibility there. um, let's see. So you're going to need your alternate K-Prep standards on there as well. Okay, so she's describing what she did is she's describing how she's going to adapt this regular KAS standard up here. Look at the other example that I have on here, the middle high school example. I think that's that's a better portrayal of the alternate K prep standards being involved. However, this was fine too because I know that she's hitting these gen ed standards, okay? But what I would like you all to do first is find that alternate K-Prep standard and try to align those the best that you can. Again, look at the other example as well. I think that's probably going to give you a better picture on these standards. All right, so she's going to describe her anticipatory set. I'm not going to read this to you. You all can go in and look at this yourself. Title and author, she is going to, it looks like she highlighted the title and author with WikiSticks. and she's made some other adaptations to make the title and author stand out. So this is still about the adaptations, okay? Then we get into vocabulary words. So these are the words that she's chosen. This is a book about Ruby Bridges, so she's going to have these type of words that are going to be meaningful to the understanding of Ruby Bridges and her story, right? Let's see. She also has on here that they're going to be taught with flashcards. Feel free, you all, to put little notes in here if you need to explain something further to me. She also, I love this. I think it's great when you include an actual visual or a picture of exactly what you're doing. That is great. So she is using, I think this is also a screw up because I think that she used constant time delay and not simultaneous prompting. Let me see if I'm right. Yeah, she used constant time delay, but she put the wrong thing here. Hang on. So right here, it should just say CTD, constant time delay. That's all you need to do when you're identifying the instructional strategy. You can use simultaneous prompting, okay? But I encourage you to do constant time delay. And anyway, that is what she used in this lesson too. It's just, I guess she made a typo or something. Okay. So she's also going to talk about when she's going to teach these words. They're going to be pre-taught in this case because you don't want to read the book without first going over the vocabulary words. We saw that in some of the video examples that we looked at in class. We're going to make sure that we go through those vocabulary words before. And what that's going to involve is a 0-second delay of constant time delay. This is assuming you're using constant time delay. You're going to do a 0-second delay while I'm sitting there observing your lesson, and then you're going to go into a 3-second delay while I'm observing your lesson. And then you can move on to your prediction and then get into the book, okay? So I want to see all of that. Here's how she defined her words. She said that she is going to teach the definition with incidental teaching, right? That's when you include the definition in your reinforcement statement, right? Good job touching collar. A collar is something a dog wears on his neck or something like that. Remember that example? That's her incidental teaching. And her definitions are listed right up here at the top. Then we get into repeated storyline. Ruby Bridges was brave. Remember, with our repeated storyline, we want to capture like the essence of the story. And I think that is a great repeated storyline for this book about Ruby Bridges. Think of it as if the student were to walk away from this lesson with one thing, learning one thing. That should be your repeated storyline. Okay, so Ruby Bridges was brave. So that was a great one. She has some information in here about how the students are going to read the repeated storyline. It says 2 of them will be able to read. Then she's using assistive technology and pictures to give her other student access to reading the repeated storyline. So she has her prediction question in here, and she also has several answer choices because remember, there's not an incorrect answer to that question. It's just a guess, okay? So when we get into comprehension, this is where we're looking at Bloom's. So if you look on the left hand, we're going to need one question for each level of Bloom's taxonomy, which we're going to talk more about that at the beginning of next week. But I encourage you to kind of have your comprehension questions drafted by then. A really, really good resource, and what I'm not even going to say recommend. I'm going to go ahead and say require that you look at chapter 8 in your book, because I think that the way that they handle Bloom's and explain the different types of questions is just going to be essential for you to understand how to structure your comprehension questions. So go ahead and make sure that you do that and read or reread chapter 8 of your Browder book, the white one. So anyway, I'm going to keep going with this. So she has an example of each type, and they're over here on the right hand side: remembering, understanding, applying, analyzing, evaluating, creating. She also included the answer choices. You're going to have to do that as well. All of this needs to be pre-planned. Notice here, and we talked about this yesterday, this highlighted region here is stating that the answer to this question can be found in the text. So this is where we're going to be doing rereading the page, and then rereading the sentence, and then giving them the answer. Okay, so that's when you're going to be using that technique. These are inferential questions, meaning they're not found in the book. These are questions that can be answered only by thinking about them. So we're still doing system of least prompts here, okay? And I'm going to, we touched on it yesterday, and I'm about to post that PowerPoint so you all can see the progression and how we use system of least prompts here. But basically, we're rereading the page, right? If the student gets it incorrect, we're rereading that page, and then we're going to, our next prompt is relating the content to the student. How would you feel if blah, blah, blah? Getting them to think about that, okay? So that's, and then the next prompt would be you modeling how you can make an inference. I would feel blah, blah, blah if such and such happened, depending on what your story is about, okay? And then finally, you give them the answer, okay? And like I said, I'm going to post this material after I get this video up so you all have access to all of that. Okay, I'm talking fast because I have a timer on this on the screen sharing application, so I'm going fast. So the graphic organizer, you need some type of graphic organizer in your lesson as part of your planning. So that is why I'm having you read the article, the TIES article about graphic organizers this week. So definitely read that, get some ideas, make sure that you have, it could be a T-chart, it could be a Venn diagram, but your graphic organizer needs to help the students answer one of these questions. Okay, so sometimes there's a compare question, or it's just so hard to talk about generally because there's so many different uses for graphic organizers. But definitely, if you have questions, please reach out to me and look at the other example too. I think that has a good example. She's got her example, or her picture of her graphic organizer in here too. What pictures are needed? She's clearly talked about here all the picture supports that she's going to need, what needs to be in the form of a picture. She's talked about technology here. And then you need a lesson closure. How are you going to close the lesson? Okay, because so many times we just get to where, okay, we're finished with the lesson. You can't just move on. You've got to wrap it up somehow, right? So for her closure, she had some type of little activity down here that she had them do. This is where we're talking about systematic instruction. I have 1 minute on this, so I'm going to talk fast and post another video. You need to explicitly lay out the procedures of constant time delay if you are using constant time delay, simultaneous prompting if you're using that, and over here on the right, system of least prompts. And you can find these in your Collins text. That's the colorful one, okay? And literally, I want them in your own words, right? Don't copy and paste what it says there, but you pretty much can get a pretty good idea of what you need to say, because the step-by-step instructions on how to use each of these procedures are right there in the book. This should not be a difficult task here. All right, so this is the planning form. Let me move on to the task analysis in the next video.